Hello my beautiful people, welcome to your life path reading for 2022. Can you believe we are here already? So before we get into it, this first part of the reading is always, it's an overview. So what we're going to be looking at is 2022 as a 6-year. This is really important context because it's going to tell you how the year is likely to go in its trends, its themes, the energies that we're likely to experience. And that provides an important context and a backdrop for how we're all going to be experiencing this in, or rather, through the context of the universal year. But more importantly, how that energy is going to play out for us really speaks to how we experience our personal year. So that in itself as well is just as important. I will put a link for those personal year videos in the I'll put one in the description and I'll put one on the little thing floating above my head so that you can get even more into it. But like I said, this part, don't skip it. It's really important that you get an idea of what we're going to be dealing with. And I will be going very in depth this time round. So let's get straight into it. So 2022 is a 6-year, as you now know. 6 is actually the number that is ruled by Venus. So we can definitely say that 2022 is going to be a much easier, a much slower paced year. It's going to be a much calmer year. What I will say as well, 2021 saw us, we kind of experienced a lot of change, right? A lot of upheaval, lots of sharp turns, lots of twists and turns, lots of surprises. It did see a lot of advances in technology, which I talked about. It did see a lot of advances in cryptocurrency, which I talked about in the 2020 videos, right? In the videos for 2021. So it's great to see that this kind of tracks. Now, in terms of the universal year being the number 6, it is tended towards like a slower pace. It's more focused, it's more connected. It's a lot less erratic as well, which is great for all of us, especially those of us that are already naturally a little bit erratic. It's going to be a year that is directed more towards altruism, a year that's directed more to support, to connection, to balance, harmony. It's definitely going to be a year where people really start to consider their own personal impact on things. So we're going to see this energy of accountability is going to start to become a really big or really powerful theme throughout 2022. Now that accountability isn't just going to be for us on the microcosmic level, it's going to be for all of us on the macrocosmic level as well. So this is going to be about governments, this is going to be about people that are in charge, people that are heads of companies, heads of state, etc. There's going to be a lot more of people expecting others to be accountable for their actions and, more importantly, for their impact on the wider world. So as always, I've got my trusty notes here, so if I'm looking away, that's where I am. All right, so in a way, the buzzword for this number 6 year is responsibility. It's one of the biggest words that comes up for the energy of the number 6, right? So it's going to come sharply into focus for all of us in some way, shape or form. Who are we responsible for? Who are we responsible to? And more importantly, how do we meet those requirements? How is it that we really show up for what and who we are responsible for? And how do we play our part, right? Whether for the good or for the ill, as they say. So some of the considerations that are going to come up with this year, and these are definitely not, like, it's not just limited to the things that I mentioned. You'll see many trends and themes evolve over the year, but these are the ones that I've really honed in on because I kind of feel like these are going to be like they're going to be like the structure or the skeleton of the year that really kind of shows people, right, okay, this is where we're at. So domestic life, when it comes to your home, its contents, everybody that lives within, so people that you live with or, people that you want to live with. How can you get the most out of your home? How can you improve your home? There's going to be a lot of decorating, interior design is really going to take off this year or become a lot more prominent. People, doing more development on their homes. So that whole thing about construction of new homes, definitely going to be a theme throughout this year. The materials that we need in order to construct homes is also going to be a challenge over the course of this year. It's a continuation in a sense, yes, but these things are really going to be highlighted. How can you make your home look and feel better for yourself or for the people that are dwelling inside with you? what can you do to make your home a sanctuary, right? Because your house is what keeps you safe from the elements. It's what helps you shut the world outside out when you need to. It's supposed to be a sanctuary. Supposed to be warm, you know, to be a place where all of your needs can be met regardless of what's happening. And I think a lot of people are really going to tap into that this year. Home, the hearth, the family, familial ties and connections, whether these are familial ties and connections that you choose or whether they're familial ties and connections that you're born to, is kind of going to be irrelevant this year. It's going to be all about how do we connect? How do we, you know, bring more of that connection in? These things are going to be more important than ever, so I do feel like those things will definitely expand. So on the wider world stage, this is likely to translate to a housing crisis. It might also be that we start to get more conscious of how can we eliminate the problem of homelessness. We might see a big drive towards how we can start to improve, you know, living life for people. It's ridiculous. It's just, sorry, excuse my language, but it's effing ridiculous that in 2022 we still have homeless people. It's just unfathomable. It just doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. Okay, rant over. Reining it in. All right, so this whole thing about, again, right, this disparity between wealth and, you know, the super wealthy and all the rest of it. Not only are we going to see more of a divide, but we're going to start to see more calls to action to shrinking that divide, to making things more equal, to making things more balanced. Remember, this number is ruled by Venus. Venus is all about balance. It's all about harmony. It's all about smoothing off the rough edges. So it's probably going to see us highlighting what we can do for those that are homeless in some way, shape or form. So another thing that I've got here as well is cleanliness. So I believe that over the course of this year, we're going to see a much more, we're going to be more focused on cleanliness, and how that can be a part of our daily routines, which I find this really interesting as well, because in ancient astrology, Demetra George writes in one of her books that one of the things that is assigned to Aquarius is cleanliness, right? Which is really interesting to me because Saturn, the ruler of Aquarius, is in the sign of Aquarius. So I found that really interesting that as soon as we had this, yes, we had the pandemic and the shutdown and the lockdown and stuff, but we also had this really, you know, powerful, stringent drive towards being more clean. Now, what I will say is what I've got here is what is clean? How do we clean? And I think this is going to see a lot of developments on the wider world stage on how we can cleanse or clean our lives, our homes and our bodies, but in ways that aren't toxic to us or the environment. So there's going to be a lot of developments on how we can work in harmony or in tandem with nature rather than fighting with it in some way, which I think is great, right? So we're probably going to see new technologies and things developed when it comes to cleanliness. I think this is going to have a lot to do with sound and frequency. I've got this really, you know, powerful hit when I was doing all of the research for this year, that these are going to be some of the ways that we really tap into this idea of cleansing ourselves, cleansing our space, cleansing our body. And remember, everything at the end of the day is vibration and frequency. So I think we're going to see a lot to do with developments on that front. We'll definitely be paying more attention to our oceans, our seas, our rivers and our lakes. There's going to be big focus on how to clean up our water supply, because if we don't have water, it don't matter how rich, what your status, where you're from, if you ain't got water, you ain't got life, period, right? Clean water is a necessity for everybody. So there's going to be more money and attention placed on the vital waters of life. I definitely believe that. That being said, new developments in blood cleansing and vaccinations. I definitely feel 2026 is where we're going to see a massive advancement towards a cure or a vaccine for HIV and various other illnesses as well. So when it comes to healing, we're definitely going to see a big focus on this as well. A lot of the new age methods will start to really gain prominence. Now, when I say new age, what I actually mean is ancient ways of healing. herbalism, medical astrology, sound, frequency, vibration, all of those things, energy healing. We're going to see all of these things really start to come to the fore. Natural, non-toxic, non-invasive ways of healing are going to really prevail over this year. And here's the beauty of it. I don't think that this is going to pit us at odds with the medical tradition. I actually feel like we're going to start to see a dovetail. This is where we're going to start to see how can we fuse these things? How can we really find ways to integrate the two, which will be brilliant. I definitely think we're going to see an expansion of such things. Sound healing, frequency, vibrational healing will definitely come to the fore. I also think that medical science is definitely going to advance this year. Like, I really believe that. But as a result, I think we're going to see more and more of a crossover between the two. If not a global level, then at least at a grassroots level. And that grassroots level of everything is going to be very important this year, because we're going to see a lot more of that. All right, we're going to start to see less of the we're going to start to see it more on the microcosmic level, let's say. Herbalism, definitely going to be a revival. Green get together and more group healing work as well is definitely going to start to expand. So when we talk about spiritual progression, to be spiritual is to be organized and in harmony with all that surrounds you and all that you encounter. So just like its upside down counterpart, the number 6 has a natural draw towards leaving the world and people better than you find them, right? 6 is actually the number that is all about responsibility and service. It's the energy of the agony aunt or the healer or the mystic or the maintenance or the caregiver, right? So it's all about leaving things and people or even environments better than you find them. We're going to see a lot of this year and a lot of drive towards that. This energy as well can be known as the fixer energy. So it takes problems, challenges and issues, and it will lovingly and painstakingly work on them until they're dissipated or, removed altogether. It's actually a very spiritual number in that sort of sense. And because, the highest form of spirituality is to be of service to the universe in some way, shape or form. I truly believe that. Now, this is, it's what I've put here is it's the cleansing ritual before the magic and the enchantment of the year 7, 2023 kicks in, right? So for those of you that are into this kind of thing, 6 is the year of the clearing and the cleansing of the space before you set your enchantment or your intention forth in the 7 or the spiritual sphere, all right? So it's an important aspect or a part of this that people often overlook, right? So remember, all steps are important in the process of manifesting something. You can't leave one out, and that means not leaving out the cleansing stage as well. All right, so on the wider world stage, we're definitely going to see more care towards service providers, healthcare workers and professionals, people that actually showed up for us when it really bleeping mattered. Like, we're going to see a lot more kindness and courtesy towards those people, if not from, the oligarchs and all of the hierarchical stuff, certainly from the people on the ground below. All right, so support and connection. This is a very supportive energy. It's very connective. 6 has that natural pull, that natural draw towards harmonizing things, bridging the gaps between things that maybe don't have any connection and finding a way to create one. It means as well taking form from one thing to give to another. So this may very well see. So 2020 and 2021, we saw a lot of wealth transference from the majority of the people to the minority of the people. 2022 is going to start to see the opposite. It's the way that universal law works, right? You can't have something that is unbalanced. The universe doesn't like it, just like it doesn't like a vacuum, right? So it's very, very interesting to see how this will come out. This divide between the wealthy and the poor, we're definitely going to see more of a spotlight on it. If it goes ignored, there will be a lot of noise and a relentless drive towards making it better for everybody as opposed to just a certain few. So let that be a universal warning to those those that are in charge. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a vessel. This will definitely be the starting of the community living. So lots of people have talked about this, and we know it's coming through in the astrology as well. 2022 is where we're really going to see this stuff start to happen. It's actually going to become a reality. We're going to see communities popping up left, right and center. People will be demanding more connection, more community, more sense of pulling together. If they don't get it, and it's not present in the world, then they'll just create it themselves. It will literally just be that, like, okay, well, what we want and what we need isn't being provided, so we'll do it our damn selves. And once we've done that, there's not going to be any standing in our way because we declare our own, right? So, you know, I love it. It will definitely be more about people coming together and living together as well. More sharing, more caring is the name on is the name and the number of Venus. Beauty and romance. So while this number is very practical, it's also very Venusian in a sense. It does appreciate anything and everything natural. We're going to see a draw towards more sort of neutral colors, lots more pastel colors, things that are a lot more things that are a lot more pleasing to the eye, things that are lighter, brighter and more caring. So 2021 was a lot about sort of, you know, what was really in your face and really bold and really deep and all the rest of it, whereas 2022 is going to be a lot more sort of smoother. So I've put here pastels in greens, yellows and blues. Gentle color palettes are definitely going to be way more favorable, as will gentle makeups, anything that is natural, that's kind to the skin, that's kind to the environment, that's easy to make without destroying the environment. All of this is going to be to the fore. Startups that promise to be you know, kind to the environment, or to offer more in the way of you know, kindness to flora and fauna will definitely come up over the course of this year for sure. Also, the demand for more greenery, the demand for more natural feel to things, for more open spaces, more room for animals, more connection to, with and for nature is going to be to the forefront. And again, if we don't get it, people will just start to create it. People are definitely going to start walking away from cities, anywhere that's too built up, where you're living on top of each other like, you know, sardines and stuff. It's just not the way of it anymore. People want more space, more openness and more freedom where they can gather more together. And, you know, again, if they don't get it, they'll just make it themselves. They want clean, fresh, natural, open spaces that have a community or communal feel to it. There's a need or a call for more. That's where the money's going to be flowing as well. So if you're thinking about starting a business, think about all of the things that I've mentioned are going to come up over the course of this year, because this is just the seeding of it. It's not like, oh, here it's 2022 and that's all that's going to be, and, you know, then it's done. This is like literally, that's, you know, this is the chance really for you to get ahead of the next gold rush, I guess. All right, so what people will be interested in. People are going to be interested in things and people that roll up their sleeves and get stuck in and help others. The beauty is in the dirt, in the mud, in the sweat, in the beauty, in the fucking crotch of everything that you are, right? This is about getting stuck into things with the deepest aspects of yourself. It's not about surface stuff. It's about coming together. It's about really being accountable and responsible, and, you know, thinking about other people rather than just yourself. Those are going to be the things that are sexy this year. That's going to be the stuff that really gets people fired up. The elements and how they affect and change us: rain on the skin, air in the lungs, grass under your toes and in between your toes, and sand in your toes. I get really excited because I'm a hobbit at heart. You know, give me a tree to put my back to, a book, maybe some music, don't necessarily need it, but, and, you know, a wide open expanse with my toes in the grass. You got me for life. I'm happy. I don't need much. All right. We'll definitely see a lot of kickback between companies and their workers. Why? 6 is the number of the home and the hearth. And as I said to you last year, this whole idea of going back to the office, a lot of people are just done with it. They're over it. They don't want it, right? And they will continue to kind of hold back from that. So a word to companies, etc. Think about ways that you can sort of maybe create a more blended feel where people can spend more time at home and some time in the office. Because if you try to just get them to come back to this whole 9 to 5 in the grind thing, it's just not going to work. It's already started falling apart. All right, people want comfort, connection, community, and ease. That's got more weight than the high-powered career this year, right? 6 is bringing a reckoning. It really is. Okay, so Jupiter falling or moving into the sign of Pisces is directly feeding into all of this. So Jupiter is the great magnifier, the great expander, the great lord of abundance and growth, children and spiritual law. So I've said this before and I will definitely say it again. I think we're going to see a massive drive to, not drive towards, but I think we're going to see a lot of babies born in 2022 for sure. The big man of kings and universal law is what I've put here. All of it sounds wonderful for the most part, and it is. But consider this, Pisces is the 12th sign. It's a placement of a lot of politics and people that are in politics, which means we might see as well, I think we're going to see a few meteoric rises of certain politicians or people that kind of seem to come out of nowhere and all of a sudden find themselves, you know, at the top with lots of followers or really, you know, standing out in their message or in their speech. If they meet the needs and the wants and the will of the people, they will survive. If not, it will be a collective thumbs down. It's going to be more and more that the will of the people starts to rule from here on in. So again, let that be a message to those of you that are in charge. So Pisces is all things and no thing at once. It's got no boundaries. It's a double-bodied water sign. As such, it's got no boundaries, and it means that we do have quite a lot to consider in this sense, because if Jupiter expands things and Pisces has no boundaries, this is like literally an expansion of that boundlessness. So this is something to consider. It's also going to be, I talked about the huge wave of babies that might be coming in from here on in. We now see a dissolving of certain ideas and also places. The European Union might start to crumble or dissolve. Not saying it will, but just an idea. Borders between countries may also start to come down, or the lines may get very blurred. Neptune's already in Pisces, so we're going to see a lot of legalized drugs this year. And maybe in places where they haven't been before, or maybe places where it's been a little bit more taboo, etc. I think we're definitely going to see a drop in the crime rate, which I talked about in, if any of you purchased my 2022 videos, I talked a lot about this for 2022 in those. So if you've seen the sign videos, then you know I talked about this. Whatever has been hidden will come to light in powerful ways. And then finally, as Jupiter is the ruler of spiritual law, we're going to see more than a few cases of miracles, but it's also going to be vital to have your wits about you, right? It's important that you don't allow yourself to be hoodwinked this year, because there are going to be a few rises of gurus, etc. And as we drive towards more people cultivating a need for spirituality, especially as we get to 2023, it's going to be important to use your own discernment, especially for some of the stuff that we see, because we might see some weird stuff in 2022 still. You know, just be aware that that is the case. Now, I have said to everybody, building a solid spiritual practice for 2022 is going to be vital, because that spiritual practice and that spiritual work that you do in 2022 is going to offer you the life raft or the rope to get you through the murky weirdness that is going to be 2023. I make no bones about saying this, right? For those of you that have seen the webinar that I did with Heather from Astrology with Heather, we talked about the next 5 years from 2020 right through to 2025. It's going to be an interesting time for sure, but 2023 was the year that really stood out to me as being like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a really weird year, right? We're going to see some odd stuff 2022, but it will be the real weird sort of murky what the hell is going on. That will be 2023. So finally, energy medicine, witchcraft, occult things, astrology, numerology, tarot, human design, all of these systems are going to be more in demand than ever. We might see some kickback from them. Integrity is going to be everything. Those tarot readers, astrologers, numerologists, human design readers, witches, all the rest of it. The ones that have integrity will be the ones that really do well this year. Remember, Jupiter's in its home sign of Pisces. So while there'll be an expansion of these things, it will be the ones that have integrity, the ones that are on point, the ones that are not charlatans, basically, that will be the ones that continue to grow, whereas everybody else will kind of fall to the wayside. And then finally, let me be clear, the age of the guru, while coming to an end, will be going out with a bang. All right, so you're going to have to see this. And I do feel that we're going to see a lot of, not a lot of, but certainly some of the bigger ones will be taking a tumble because the smoke and mirrors energy just not going to cut it this year. All in all, I think this can be a very beautiful year, maybe one that is a little bit excessive, possibly even a little bit pedantic in its energies. Remember, it is Venus ruled, so maybe the dark side is that people just want more luxury because they've been denied so many things. But it is going to be lighter, it is going to be brighter, it is going to be easier, more down to earth, and certainly better than anything we've experienced over the course of the last 3 years. With that said, stick around and we will get into your life path reading for 2022. Thank you so much. Take care and I'll see you soon. Hello, you beautiful Life Path 2 person. Welcome to your 12-month breakdown. So let's get straight into it. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your year ahead, so you are a Life Path 2 and this is a 6 year. So how is this energy, now that you've got the context of what 2022 is going to offer all of us in some way, shape or form, let's get into how this is going to really interact with you, your number and your energies for the year ahead. So this is a year for you to look towards your material pursuits. What is it that you want to build on the material, the physical, or even the financial or prosperous planes, right? This is a time to really get into that kind of energy. So what I will also say to you as well, this year, get yourself on firm footing and firm grounding for all of the expansion and the growth that you want to experience, right? So anything that you want to build this year, you absolutely have the opportunity to do so. You just need to make sure that your roots and your foundations are strong. Think big, be bold, be daring this year, right? If there's something that you want to build, you have to go for it. You can't hold back. You can't tell yourself, you know, this is not a year really for you to play small. And especially if you're doing things with other people, this is a great energy for that. So all things business and material and all, all things business, material, financial, all of those things are definitely going to be to the fore for you guys this year. It's going to be a year of hard work that really increases your prosperity. So if you can go toe to toe with that intensity, if you can go toe to toe with that idea that, you know what, I'm going to go for this, I'm going to dream big, I'm going to think big, I'm going to expand my horizons in some way, shape or form. If you tap into that kind of energy this year, this could be a great year for you. All right, so get organized, whether it's your finances, whether it's your studies, your profession, your work, more professional training, whether there's a promotion that you're training or working towards or for. This is a year to get yourself organized. Have a really good, solid plan in place and then execute the shit out of that plan with everything that you have. All right. So what I will say as well this year, be fair with everybody. Work really hard at being a good, effective manager and leader. So if you're, in a position of authority or power of some sort, by checking in with your people, rolling up your sleeves and maybe not necessarily getting in the dirt with them this year, actually, that's not favored for you, even though it is a 6 year. But This year I would probably, the best way to approach it is be approachable for your staff, for the people that you work with, people that you work alongside. Like, be an effective communicator and manager. Be a good leader this year, and good leaders are ones that lead by example, ones that aren't afraid, you know. And if from time to time you can roll up your sleeves and get in the trenches with everybody, absolutely. Like, I'll tell you a story. When I was in my younger years, when I was wild and free, when I worked in a bar, the owner of the bar every Saturday night, guaranteed without fail, would come down to the bar. She would work behind the bar with us. She would go out collecting glasses, emptying ashtrays. Like, yes, I'm that old. I remember when the smoking ban came in. You know, she would really get her hands dirty with us, and we loved her for it, and we were loyal to her, because it's like, you know what? She doesn't have to spend her Saturday night with us. She could just sit at home collecting, you know, big money. But at the end of the day, she did really, really like earn a lot of our respect for that reason. So this is an example of one way you could put that into place. All right, build plans and follow them through, right? That follow through is going to be everything this year. I'm hearing Gavin DeGraw's follow through song in my head. Great ice cream advert. You've got the guts to dream big. Go for it this year, absolutely. Do not let small minds or petty things hold you back, and that includes yourself, right? If you feel like at some point, you know, like, don't get me wrong, we're all human, we all have moments. But if you can feel yourself getting into that kind of petty energy, don't do it. It will be a waste of your time, and it will really take you off track, right? So your blessings this year: big rewards, right? Leadership, high climb, abundance and prosperity, absolutely. Get organized. It's also a great year for opportunities for growth will be present, providing you are able to connect with people in the right way, and that you manage your connections with people in the right way. So your lessons this year are, you know, this could the ways that these energies combine, it could make you materialistic, might make you a little bit stubborn. A lot of people might see some of the stuff that you do this year as a little bit of out of character. It's not, it's just another layer to who you are, right? This could be curveballs to your plans, right? Expect a few WTF moments, right? Fairness and integrity. If you try to chuck those out of the window this year, it will bite you in the butt. All right, so just be careful. Hard work means big results. And then finally, partnerships. You are going to want and need to do things big this year. And, you know, as the saying goes, if you want to go quick, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. So with that said, let's get into your 12-month breakdown. So you're going to get one destiny card, one direction card per month for this. All right, for your year ahead, should I say. So your first card out, I kind of feel like the first card always sets the tone in a way. It kind of gives you an idea of what the whole year is going to encompass. And you have the Wheel of Fortune: growth, expansion, prosperity, abundance, luck being on your side. Luck be a lady tonight. Right, sorry, that's just me being a theatrical dork. You might as well, because of the way that these energies express themselves for you this year, you might find that you yourself feel a bit more eccentric. Embrace it, honey, embrace it. So, you know, luck, possibly abundance straight away from January. What this usually says to me, though, there's two ways that I've observed over the course of learning tarot and seeing it play out in people's lives. It usually shows up in two ways. One, this will be the results of something that they've already put forth out into the world. This is where they see what the results of that are. Or two, they get a lucky break of some sort. It's like you find yourself in the right place at the right time for the right opportunity. This whole year is going to be one of opportunities and potentials, and, you know, potential wonderful things as well. So this could be a really great year for you, you wonderful life path 2 person. Now for January, whatever the detours are that show up for you, take them, accept them, because they could absolutely work wonders in and for your life. All right, this is the beauty of this card as well. Like, it very often shows up where where we thought we were going or what we thought was going to happen sometimes doesn't go ahead that way, right? It happens in a completely different way, so we end up having to go in a different direction. So for your direction card, speaking of directions, nice sojourn. So remember, Venus is going to be retrograde for most of the month from the 19th of December. I thought it was the 31st of January, but it's not. It's the 29th. So from the 19th of December 2021 right through to the 29th of January of 2022, Venus will be retrograde. So just keep an eye on that. Also, Mercury will go retrograde on the 15th of January. And you know, we'll come out of the sign of Aquarius and come back into the sign of Capricorn. So there's a lot going on in that Capricornian space still. For the direction card, wow, okay, you've got the Sun card. This is beautiful, right? So for some of you, it does look like you may be traveling. Now, here's the thing. For those of you that travel in 2022, late 2022, maybe you're getting some winter sun, you know, maybe you're taking a holiday or a break elsewhere. I have this feeling that some of you may get stranded, all right? Don't freak out. This could be one of those things where you're in the right place at the right time, right? So for those of you that are traveling, if you do have a detour or a delay to your travel, just trust that the universe is lining something really nice up for you, all right? So with that being said, the Sun card, blessings, heat, abundance, joy, happiness, being in the right place at the right time. For some of you, this could be a time where you are starting a family or expanding this. It's really interesting because I think the Life Path 1 people got the Fool and the Sun. So it's going to be an interesting year for both life paths. But yeah, so this could be expansion and growth of your worldly acclaim, right? So in some way, shape or form, maybe something about you is being presented in a bigger light. Maybe you are being seen in some way, shape or form that maybe you hadn't expected to. This could be really wonderful for you, actually. It also suggests to me as well that you might be given an opportunity to shine. So maybe in some way, shape or form, you're thrust into the limelight and you're a bit kind of like, okay, deer in the headlights. And now we're back in the room and you go for it. In a lot of ways, this might be a year where you do less of what 2 is known for. Maybe this could be a year where you're doing less of the supporting role and more of the personal sort of endeavors. All right. So this could be really nice though. And then finally, for those of you that maybe don't have any planned, this could be a great month for you to travel, no matter what's happening on the wider world stage. For February, you have the Justice card, right? So new commitments, contracts and pacts are coming up for you. This might be a time where you're having to really hunker down on something as well. So I will say to you, if you give yourself some extra time around February, because it does look like you might be not even going in a different direction. It's just that you're having to actually stick around for something, right? You're having to really commit to it. Maybe you're signing a new contract. Maybe you're signing on the dotted line for something that you've wanted or needed to do or to get off the ground. So for your direction card, you have the Emperor. So for a select few of you, this could literally be a marriage, right? So for some of you, maybe January brings you the surprise of, hey, honey, let's get married. And then in February, you're going ahead to do it. For some of you, this could be a new legally binding contract or maybe a dedication to a new job. For some of you, this could be starting some new course of study. Either which way, February looks like a good month, but it's like you're making something very official. This is where something is really happening for you, where you are signing on that dotted line to say this is the way that things are going to continue. But there's a few ways that this could show up. But like I said, that's definitely a legally binding contract, which, you know, at the end of the day, what is marriage? Right, sorry to take all the romance out of it, but you get my point. So that's just one way that this could show up, but still very nice. For March, you have the Moon card. All right, so as we come to the close of the first quarter of the year, you're probably going to be taking stock of a lot of what's just happened, right? So I'm going to say this to you. If you're a Life Path 2, it looks like January and February, there are some big changes straight out of the gate. And so March is going to see you in that reflective space where you're kind of like, okay, this has all happened. and now, right? So it's going to be a moment where actually maybe you can take a breath. It might also be for some of you where you get cold feet around something. Now, this isn't like cold feet before, you know, like some people get cold feet the night or the day before the wedding, etc. This is the kind of like, it's almost like that, what do they call it? Is it postpartum? Or you know, like the baby blues, once people have had a baby and the joy and all the, isn't it so wonderful, is worn off, like the reality sets in that, you know what, like, oh my gosh, this little person is relying on me for everything and I don't know if I'm up to the task. This might be a moment like that, because remember the fear card, the moon card can be fear. So it doesn't necessarily have to be an actual baby, but it can be something that you've initiated in March. Now you feel the weight of it. It's like, oh shit, okay, this is happening, excuse my language, right? So this could be a moment where you're kind of like in that space of, okay, you know, it's happening and you're just going to have to keep reminding yourself that you're fine, that it's all okay, you've got it all under control. You've got the Seven of Pentacles. Slow and steady is going to win the race, right? So no matter how big the start to the year is, March is going to remind you not only that you're human, but that you should take your time, that you've got all of this in hand. Now, with that Seven of Pentacles, be careful what you put your finances, your money, or your investments into around this time. The reason I say this is because the Seven of Pentacles is investments, it's time, it's money, it's not just, you know, and it's also waiting and patience. But with that moon card, it's almost like something of a financial nature. You don't have all the facts yet, so just be conscious of that. And then, you know, like I was saying to you with this whole like, oh my gosh, this is happening. If that is the case, just the Seven of Pentacles, have patience, stick in, remind yourself, you know what, I've done this before. And even if it's something that you haven't done before, you've got through tough times in your life, you've got through challenges in your life. And this kind of feels like it is a great challenge. It's just one that feels maybe a little bit bigger than you were expecting, all right? For your April, as we come into that wonderful, I actually really like this eclipse. So we're going to have the first eclipse of the year in Taurus. It's a solar eclipse in the sign of Taurus on the 30th of April. Now, I've got to be honest with you, I really like this eclipse. I know a lot of people probably don't. I just, having looked at the chart and kind of like the general feel of the way that everything's going to be at this point, I kind of feel like we're all going to be like, yeah, this is time to, do you know what I mean? Like just time to kick back and chill, or enjoy it at least. So you've got the Magician. This could be a powerful point of creation for you. This could be a really great time where you yourself are being highlighted, right? So this moment here in March where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. That's all gone. Come April, we're back into slay, baby, right? Which is great because you've got this Magician card. This could be where you're driving something forward, where you're really pushing something to happen or to create something. It could, because remember, sometimes if it's unconscious, the Magician card can be, you know, anything from a megalomaniac right through to, you know, a really self-centered person. Just be sure to consider, right, even with what I gave you as your personal sort of interaction with the 6th year, remember, we are still in a 6 vibration. You are going to need people and others and partnerships and connections to truly get where you're going, right? If you, as an example, if you're the only person in the world, you're not famous because there's nobody to see you that way, right? It's just the same as in your community. If you're, you know, I often say to people, like, if you're so far up yourself that you can't even notice that anybody else, you know, there's no room for any more admiration. So just try to curb that impulse, right, of shutting everyone out or keeping everyone at arm's length. This comes up with the King of Cups, right? So a Pisces, Cancer or Scorpio male may very well feature for you in April. This could be a therapist, a healer, or a counselor in some way, shape, or form. This actually is a really nice pairing because it suggests that somebody, maybe a guru, a teacher, maybe a therapist, a counselor, a healer of some sort, is coming into your life around this time. And it feels to me like this person's going to be around for a long time to come. Now, that's one way that we could see this. On a more personal level, if this were to represent an archetype of you, the suggestion here is that you are, maybe you're getting licensed, maybe you are getting an accolade of some sort, maybe you get your degree, maybe you get a title, maybe you pass something, maybe you get put on a certain list that allows you to call yourself a ... Like, this could be a real powerful moment of you rising up the ranks, and it looks like whatever it is, this is something you've put a lot of time, energy, effort and heart into, and I really like that, especially off the back of the March energy. For May, we have the second eclipse of the year. That's going to be Scorpio lunar eclipse at on the May the 16th, and you've got the Chariot card for this. Now, also, we're going to have a Mercury retrograde in May as well. That's going to retrograde out of the sign of Gemini into the sign of Taurus. But you've got the Chariot card here, right? So this second eclipse, and I got to be honest with you, this May eclipse, I'm not really here for. It doesn't look very nice at all. The May eclipse and the November eclipse, both of these look to be quite gritty. So just be aware that those energies might be around. For the Chariot card though, right? So May could be a month where actually you are not only mastering something in the real world, but you're mastering something on a personal level. And I really like this because it suggests that this eclipse and the whole month actually are really going to drive you forward with something. This could also be a month where you are traveling. If that's the case and you're traveling around the 16th, just be careful. You know, an eclipse is still an eclipse at the end of the day. And this comes up with the King of Wands. So that's the second king that you've got out now. Two kings represent minor council. So the travel that you do in May may very well have something to do with a business meeting. It may have something to do with you being presented on the wider world stage. Maybe you're being invited to speak at an event, you know, especially within eclipse season. So from the 30th, let's say from probably the week before the 30th actually, right through to and including, let's say, the last week of May, right? That whole time could see you really being elevated. You might be having business meetings, you might be having meetings about buying a home, about buying some land, about you know, maybe getting a TV show, or, you know, maybe getting a book deal, especially because it's the King of Wands, right? So this suggests that something about you is being presented to the world. So whatever you kind of lock into place in April, it's going to be May that really sees you being able to share that with the world. I do believe we're going to probably see some posturing around May on the wider world stage. So, you know what, someone's shooting their mouth off about, you know, someone's shooting their mouth off about, oh, well, you know, if this person does this, then we might need to go to war and da 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 da. I don't think anything comes of it, but I do think that we're going to be hearing some, you know, just some white noise. All right, for June, we've got the Star card, right? I love this. Now, what I will say to you is, June could be a month where not only are you doing something of a technological nature, but you might also be seeing some kind of, maybe this is where you're launching a website, right? This could be a time where maybe you're getting onto the TV, maybe you're getting onto the radio, maybe you're starting your own podcast in some way, you know, which could be really exciting. This second quarter of the year, right? So this first quarter of the year is you being launched into the world. The second quarter of the year appears to be you expanding or you know, getting some sort of recognition. Oh, wow. And this comes up with the Ten of Cups. So my money is on you creating, building, enhancing, or growing a community of some sort. So again, for some of you, this could be, this could be buying your dream home. Maybe you find the perfect location to build your dream home. Maybe you find the right community that you actually want to live in, that you actually want to be a part of, that you really feel home and settled in. I can't say enough good things about this because it's a really wonderful energy. This could also be something that you put out into the digital sphere that does very, very well. If you're into interior design, anything to do with homes, homesteading, anything to do with, upholstery and furniture and, even construction at this point. I think June could be a really wonderful month for you. The whole year carries that energy anyway, but June could be a highlight moment. For July, you have the Devil card, right? So now that you've kind of really, now that you've really kind of expanded yourself, the Devil card comes in to say, okay, let's not get too big for our boots. Let's check in with ourselves. What are we not seeing? Where are our blind spots? This is the other thing with the Devil card as well. It's not just your addictions and your obsessions. Sometimes it's the things that you can't necessarily see about yourself. I had to have 3 people tell me you're a workaholic, seriously, sit me down and say, look, we think that maybe you need to. I had to have 3 people do that before I really took it on board. I was just like, what? Everybody's a workaholic. We all work hard. Do you know what I mean? Whatever. And then it wasn't until I started looking at certain things that I was like, oh, okay, maybe. The Devil card can show you your blind spots, all right? What you may not necessarily be seeing. You got this with the Queen of Pentacles. So a Capricorn woman is likely to feature for you in some way, shape or form. So here's where this gets interesting. You've got the King of Cups, you've got the King of Wands, and you've got the Queen of Pentacles, or a Capricorn woman that is going to feature for you in the month of July in some way, shape or form. Now she shows up very strong, in all of her glory and all of her own energy. This could be somebody that's very beneficial for you, somebody that's a helping hand, somebody that might really be able to help you get ahead in some way. But could just as easily be somebody that stands in your path or stands in your way. Either which way, they are giving you the right kind of challenge that you need to advance yourself. Now, that being said, if you are, this could also be a month where that materialistic energy that I talked about, where you're just kind of like, no, I want more. It has to be bigger. It has to be bolder. It has to be more luxurious. Do you know what I mean? You could be overdoing it on the financial level. This would be a really good month to check in with your finances, to look at your budget for whatever you're doing. If maybe you start a project over the course of this sort of first half of the year, and the cost and the price and everything just keeps creeping up, and you're like, oh, it'll be fine, and then you get to July and it's like, okay, this might not be fine, so now I need to rein it in. That's more on a personal level. Like I said, though, this is likely to be a Capricorn person that's coming in that could be quite instrumental for you in some way. Now, the reason I mentioned the fact that you've got 3 court cards already is because when you have such a concentration of court cards, it means that other people, other connections, partnerships, relationships, all stuff that's linked to you, plus that 6-year energy, they're going to be important, right? So that's probably, aside from all of the other areas of your life, aside from your finances, your money and your resources, keep an eye on your partnerships this year, right? Because that's going to be where your blind spots may show up. For your August, you have the Emperor, all right? So this is nice. I like the Emperor, one, because it often shows us where we're ready to do more work, or where we're ready to really be about it or show up. So August is a time to knuckle down and maybe get serious. This could also be a time where you're teaching. It could be a time where you're returning to school. It could also be a time where you are having interesting conversations with your boss, your partner, specifically likely to be a husband or a boss, or a wife or a boss. It doesn't have to be a husband, but you get what I mean. Now, on top of that, you've got the Knight of Pentacles. August could also be a time of travel, right? I'm going to say this, and I might get some backlash for it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm an Aquarius. This could be a time where a lot of the weird stuff that's happened with travel, you know, you can't travel with this, you can't travel without that, this could be a time where we're seeing some repeal on those sorts of things. I'm not saying it's definite, I'm not saying that I'm right, but I do think that we're going to see, I think, a lessening of some of the restrictions around travel, but I do feel like we're going to see a lot more stringent methods, if that makes sense. It's kind of like something is being really clearly defined here. So that's more sort of macrocosmic level. On a more personal level, this might be a time where a lot of you are really starting to think about your longer term goals and where you're going from here. For September, you have the High Priestess, the third and final Mercury retrograde of the year. I'm not counting the one at the end of the year, just because it happens like literally right at the edge of 2022, 2023. So it's like, it doesn't really count, not so much. This will retrograde out of the sign of Libra back into the sign of Virgo, and you've got the High Priestess. Hidden things may be revealed. This could be a time where you are getting inside knowledge and information in some way, shape or form. Pay attention to your psychic, spiritual and intuitive nudges and hunches at this time. All right, wow, okay, and you've got this with the 10 of Pentacles. That's very often, for some of you, this could be hidden money that you didn't realize you were entitled to. For some of you, this might be a secret, not a secret, but a hidden inheritance. Maybe somebody that maybe an old eccentric uncle or aunt, or, so I just got that tap on my head. I hear you, or I feel you. This could be, this could be money that you weren't expecting to get, or money that comes to you in a really roundabout sort of manner, like in a way where you're kind of like, oh, okay, I didn't even know I was in line for an inheritance, or I didn't even realize I was due a rebate of some sort. Like there's some kind of money that you're not expecting that's coming to you. Any hunches or nudges that you have around your elderly or the people that are in the winter of their lives, pay attention to them in September, right? This could also be a time possibly where somebody, maybe a parent or a grandparent or an old uncle or an old aunt, might come to live with you, right? So just stuff to consider. For October, you've got the Death card, right? Now, this is the Scorpio solar eclipse on the 25th of October. This is going to be much kinder than its lunar eclipse counterpart in May, but it is still an eclipse and it is still in the sign of Scorpio. The fact that we've got this then with the Death card, I'm almost tempted to say to you, one, this is probably not a time to travel. And two, this is probably not a time to take any big or, sweeping serious risks. This comes up with the Five of Wands. This could be a dispute that ends in violence and possibly even death. Now, I wouldn't say that this is specifically for the Life Path 2 people. This could be in your locality. This could be on the wider world stage. Tarot's been really, really vocal about the eclipses this year. It's just really strange, but yeah. Now, on a more personal level, this could be the end of a competition. So maybe somebody who you compete with for business, maybe somebody that you have challenges or issues with when it comes to your work, when it comes to your business. That could literally come to an end. It might also be a time where you are releasing or letting go of a group of some sort that you are either tied to or connected to or aligned with, right? This could be a moment where, now, that being said, this comes up right next to this. I gotta say, it may be the passing of an elderly person, all right? So just be conscious that that is around. November, you have the Strength card, and this is going to be your Taurus lunar eclipse whatever you're initiating, starting, moving ahead with here in April will be culminating and completing here around this lunar eclipse. And I got to be honest with you, it doesn't look as nice. All right, for me personally anyway, maybe other astrologers and stuff think it's better than it is, but this November Taurus eclipse, I gotta say I'm not here for it. Just looking at it and, you know, family members and stuff, I was really like, oh, I don't like that at all. All right, on top of that, you've got the Ten of Wands, right? So be very careful in November with what you say, not only to people, but online, maybe to loved ones, maybe to family members and friends. This could be a time where you're having some really tough, challenging conversations in November. This could be a time where maybe you are being spoken over or spoken to in a way that you really don't like. Maybe for some of you, this is you're having to pull rank in a way that you really don't want to or need to. On a more practical level, this could be a time where you're having to move ahead with something, or maybe for some of you, you are actually moving. And I've got to be honest with you, it looks like there are going to be all kinds of delays, challenges, worries, and issues. And if that is the case, take your time with it. You've got the Strength card, which basically says you're going in the right direction. You just need to stick to the path. And on a physical note, you've got the Strength card and you've got the Ten of Wands. Your back, look after your back, your spine, your lower back, or that whole general sort of area over November. Really be careful with yourself. And then finally for December, you have the Temperance card, right? So this is where things cool down a little bit. And, you know, I say they cool down a little bit. We're preparing to come into what I'm calling the weirdest year in a long time, all right? Just expect it to be very strange. 2023 is going to be, it's just going to be odd, all right? Odd upon odd. So just be prepared. Now, you've got the Temperance card, which tells me that things will start to ease. They will start to relax and chill down a bit. But you've got this with the Ten of Swords, right? So you've got two tens here. Two tens represents big change, and usually a change that you remember for the course of your life. It's not going to be one that is a picnic. Now you've got the Ten of Swords and the Ten of Wands. These are two of the most challenging tens. And you've got this with the Temperance card. So for some of you, this could literally be a surgery that takes place. So November or December, this could be a time where you're having a surgery of some kind. You know, now good news is it will go well. For those of you that have had serious health challenges and or issues, I'm not a doctor, I can't give you medical advice. What I can tell you is that December energy with those two cards suggests that whatever the illness is, it's coming to a completion. Like, this is it. You won't have any more issues as severe with this thing as you have up until this point. It's also a time to be careful about what you allow yourself to be sucked into. Now, you've got the Ten of Swords, you've got the Ten of Wands, and you've also got the Ten of Cups. Three tens represents new conditions, right? So new conditions, new ideas, new matter. So in some way, shape or form, I gotta say to you, my dear Life Path 2 person, this is going to be a life-changing year, right? In some way, shape or form, there is big change on the horizon for you. And by the time you get to the end of 2022, you are definitely not going to recognize your life as the same landscape, for sure. In a lot of ways, I actually think it will be very good, but there are some challenges here, right? Such as life. So, you had two jumping cards. So you've got the Gate 45. This is your key to the year card, and Regal. This is really about leading by example, right? Literally by leading by example and allowing yourself to shine in a manner that is truly you. And then finally, you have the Control card, right? So this card is actually not about anyone or anything controlling you. It's about reminding yourself that when you relinquish control to the higher power, that's when things really get good for you. All right. So all in all, not a bad year. So your power months, January, fantastic. I even like February actually, because it's like you're making something tangible and real. April, power month. I'm loving May and June. I think they're gorgeous. I even really like September, to be fair. challenging months that you're going to want to watch out for are March, July for sure, and then obviously October, November, possibly August and December. I think August and December are probably quite neutral months compared to everything else. All in all, not too bad. With that said, I wish you an abundance for 2022. I really hope that it is your best year yet. Take care. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up for you. Take care, and I'll see you soon.